You know, basically the project entailed, as you may have seen, there's a lot of concrete. We have installed over 3,500 cubic yards of concrete, reinforced concrete in that plant. So it's a very very large plant that's designed to have long life. And of course, the equipment, there's life to the equipment that maybe after 20 years or 15 years, there may be a need to replace some of the motors or something like that. But the basic plant has a very long life and has been designed, as I said, to project out to handle your growth for many years to come.
Any questions from council? Councilman Newsom?
Yeah, you made a comment, it wasn't really warm and fuzzy. It says, we think you're getting a good plan.
Well, no, you are getting it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want
that
to
was a
record
wrong.
that you're saying we're getting a great plan.
Yes, you're getting one of the top. I mean, it's using technology that allows you to meet some upcoming requirements for any new permits, and that relates to total nitrogen removal and phosphorus removal, which your current plant does not meet that requirement now. But because you're grandfathered, you're allowed to continue that way.
So we should never get any more fines unless it's operator's error or something like
Right,
that.
if there's something unforeseen, I can't say you'll never have any fines, but based on the design of the plant, which I said has the problems you've had in the past are basically whenever there's a huge rainfall event, your collection system, there's infiltration issues in your collection system, and it causes the peak flow into your plant to exceed its capacity, and therefore you have overflows.
Now, as you as engineers, if you guys went and found where we're getting a lot of water, and I know Markville project, Public Works Director, went up by HEB and found that one was taking a lot of water in, and he was going to go out to Riverbend because we have some that sit underwater. And we went and did any of that research yet to make sure we're not taking in city outside rainwater?
I'll let Ricky from the plant talk about infiltration. He's been working very hard with staff. Ricky, you want to address the issue? I'm going to be addressing the infiltration issues that we've been having citywide.
Sure.
Basically, we're
It's your microphone.
We're all deaf. We gotta have a microphone.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Ricky Carrasco, City of Floresville, Mayor, Council. We're currently looking at just eyeballing a lot of the manholes that are in the low areas. So we'll walk the creeks. We've added some caps to cover just to try to maintain what could be coming in from the top of the manhole. A lot of the stuff that's going to be coming in is the actual collection system, the lines. There's a lot of clay pipe, brick manholes. I know the city's in the process of purchasing a vac truck. With this combo vac truck, we'll be able to jet the lines, start from one end of the city, some of the worst spots, and then we'll be able to identify and find some of the really bad spots in the collection system. With that, then we'll be able to start doing some rehab on the system. But until we clean the system, televise it, and find out exactly where all the issues are, that's kind of going to be in the foreseeable future. Hopefully, we can identify as many of the bad problems, and it could be just one bad spot in the city, and if we do, it'll be well worth it.
Have you hammered any of the lines yet?
There hasn't been any televising of the lines as of yet. They do need to be cleaned first. So once we clean them out with the vac truck, then we'll be able to get some cameras in there. As of now, if we're to start televising, it'd just be, cutting through a bunch of grease.
Come out to River Bend. I was out there helping to find it. We have a couple that sit underwater.
Mm-hmm.
We rain, and since then we've had those.
Yeah, but that should be part of it. There are some manholes that we can, but we either raise the manholes or get some leak-proof covers, and those should be easy fixes. It's mainly the collection system and the actual lines, the clay pipe, stuff like that we have to identify.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ricky?
Yes, I was going to ask Juan or Ricky if you can answer this. What's going to happen to the old sword plant, the track? What's going to happen to the old track
We,
in this one?
along with Stantec, we included the old racetrack to be cleaned out, and once we clean it out, it's not part of their portion of it. We're going to do the work ourselves. We're going to clean it, and we're going to have it empty, and use it as an emergency pit. If there's too much flow coming in that we can't handle, it's a simple turn of a valve, and we can send some flow in there, store it just for the meantime during the heavy rains, and then we'll be able to pump it back and feed it into the system on at another time that we can handle the flow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I have some questions for Ricky too. Is that plant already operational as we speak?
Well, no, the new plant is not operational yet. We're going to be doing that over the next 30 days or so, plus or minus 30 days. We've got to basically run both plants together for a period of time to make sure the new plant that we're running meets permit. Then once we do that, then we switch all the flow over to the new plant, and then we can start taking the old plant out of service. There's a part of the old plant that we're using as part of the new system. We're using the newest clarifier that's in the old plant, and we're using that as a sludge holding basin. That's part of the new plant. So once we make that conversion, we're going to pull the insides of that clarifier out and use it as a sludge holding basin that will then be pumped out up to the melt filter press. So there's some things like that have to be coordinated, but the new plant is substantially complete, but we have to go through a step-by-step process to transition the flow from the old plant to the new plant. And that's what we're going to do over the next month or so.
I have another question. You said that there's some grants in case if there's some changes. What kind of changes are you talking
Well,
about?
no, there's no grants. Basically,
Or the funds that...
in the total funding, we held back a contingency on a project of this type. There's always things that come up that have to get addressed, or some things we discover during construction.
Like what?
So, pardon me?
Like what?
Well, there was a water line that was in the plant that no one knew about it, yes, or at least we didn't know about it. And we had to relocate that water line that served the property either to the west. And then we've gone through it, we've done some things to improve safety and operator maintenance throughout so the plant, is basically, once the plant is completed, it will provide safe access for the operators, how they want to run the plant. So we had some contingency in the original funds to cover that. And so, as I said, we still have about $118,000 of contingency left to cover anything else. And our plan is, once we get the plant operating, we'll use that money so we can use all that money. It is in the grant, and so that is in effect free money at this time.
I have a compliment for Ricky Carrasco. I went over there on my birthday and I toured that plant with my grandson. And I just want to say thank you. That was a good tour. I don't know how many other council members have gone over there and seen it live, from up there, and it's awesome. They didn't say this is the funds that we're talking that is going to bring in growth to this city and the community. This is how annexation kicks in, and I believe what the council is doing and the past council did was very good, getting in debt, but a good debt. And thank you, Ricky, for that tour. And
You're welcome.
I applaud you.
Thank you for showing up.
And another question for Henrietta. When are we going to have grand opening on that plant so the public can go there and see where the taxpayers' funds are going to?
Well, we anticipate they're entering substantial completion, and we're anticipating the week after Peanut Festival, so it'll be the third week of October. We're anticipating having a ribbon cutting open house. I did speak to the mayor about that, and we were anticipating having like a gathering at our new city hall, which will be open by then. That's my next report. And then giving tours at the sewer plant to allow people to see. We're inviting, once we confirm that date down, I have invited some of the same people that were here, such as Congressman Cuellar, who issued the check and everything when we had the open house to attend. And as soon as we locked in the date, I can get on his schedule's calendar. But his representative said that he will definitely be here and Betty Soto is working on the people on her financial team to come as well. But we're looking at the third week in October. It's as close as I can get to you now, but we're hoping to do that and based on the congressman's schedule.
And I would like to thank you too, Henrietta, for pushing on this those funds, that grant, and helping out Helen. And it worked out very well. And the community should go out there and see what it's all about.
Well, thank you, Councilman. Helen and I and these other people get together once a month, which is required for USDA. But if I could ask Mr. Hunter to articulate how long this plan will take us. Will it take us 15 years, 20 years, or 30 years? Because we did build it for the future. Mr. Hunter?
Yes, we went through an analysis of growth and, past growth and anticipated future growth. And I mean, typically, these plants, you design them for about a 40-year life, maybe 50-year life. Because once you get to that point, the technology changes again and the permitting process changes. And so, it's hard to foresee what the future holds that far out. But we have designed this plant to meet your next plant permit expansion amendment that goes to the higher level. So right now, we're operating under the existing permit. And the reason we're doing that is because it's a much lower standard permit and it's less of a fixed cost to the city staff to operate at that level. And once you reach your flows that you're required to upgrade your plant capacity, then that'll be done. The plant's already designed to meet that new permit, but then it meets some higher levels of treatment standards, which are always part of a new permit, which relates to the nitrogen and phosphorus removal that this plant will handle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At this time, I yield the floor.
Thank you. Councilman Jimenez?
My question is this plant can handle a capacity of what type of population?
Well,
What cities use that type of
well,
plant?
I mean, it's hard for me to say a number. I mean, basically, for right now your flows are about 600,000 gallons a day, roughly. Right, but you have a lot of infiltration, which kicks it up to over 1 million gallons a day for that period of time. But we're going from a plant that has an average permitted capacity of 900,000 gallons a day under the old grandfathered rules, which had a peaking factor of 2, to a new plant that has 1.25 million gallons a day capacity with a peaking factor of 4. And so, it all comes down to the type of use. I mean, if it's this population, it could very well, you could double the size of the city and be fine with this plant. But it all depends on what type of growth it is. I mean, if it's commercial development usually has little flow, and apartments and high-density residential projects have a lot of flow. So, or if you have other types of uses, you see to be careful. If you have an energy come in and has some effluent that may be a problem, we have to watch out for that to make sure that doesn't cause the plant to be a problem.
Yeah, but I was just merely wanting to know what type of capacity that sewer plant would hold. Has there been any other plants that were made like Seguin or San Antonio? How many does San Antonio have like this? Do they have 10 or 2?
Well, I mean, it's hard to, I mean, I can probably do a little research and give you a little summary of how we relate to other plants or other cities that are maybe similar size.
I'm just saying so that, we kind of want to know, trying to grow our city, slow, but make sure that we're not overdoing it,
I think your next challenge will be is what Ricky touched upon, is the infiltration and going in and replacing old collection system lines. We started that on the last CDBG grant that y'all received. There was an old line that was in a low area, in a flood area, that was probably some big part of the infiltration problem we had that was close to Highway 97 at the business loop 181. We were able to replace that line with a new pipe, which did address some filtration. That has to be done over a period of time whenever you have the opportunity to get grants. I would focus in on the large pipes that have been on the ground for 30, 40 years that are in these low floodplain areas, and work on getting those replaced and upgraded, because that's probably where your biggest source of infiltration is, at least from my experience. And then, of course, you have to work up into the system, and there's a lot of old sewer pipes in downtown Floresville, and there may be places where people have tied a gutter into a sewer line that maybe no one knows about. Those are things that can require kind of a long-term program to identify those kind of issues. But I think the number one recommendation for me would be to work on getting your older, larger size collection lines replaced as soon as you have funds to do that. Because they're underwater during rainfall events. And like you said, the old brick manholes probably are not very watertight, and so you're getting a lot of inflow from those sources.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from Mr. Hunter?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and again, we're looking at the weekend or the week
The week
after.
after, we'll have a
Sometime.
specific date, so the third week in October.
Thank you so much for all your hard work. Moving on to item 3C, City Manager's Report, City Hall Project Update.
Oh, did we still go, I'm sorry, 3B. Did you want to talk
Oh, I'm
about
sorry,
that a little bit
I'm sorry.
more?
The November general election with our city attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, so last time we were here, there was some questions and some concerns regarding the upcoming general election. Okay, one of the questions was, does the city of Floresville have to enter into an agreement with the county or school district? I think we already discussed that over and over. No, we do not. Correct. Okay, so then what does that mean? Like I stated before, well, according to the election code, early voting, we can have it at City Hall if the council decides to hold their election on their own. Okay, that means that the council will decide we don't want to enter into a contract with the county, or we don't want to be with the county on early voting. According to the election code, it states that early voting must be held where actually the secretary for the city is located, unless where she's located is not a good location. Okay, I think by that time, I think by November, everybody or the city secretary will be back at City Hall. So that should be a good place to hold early voting. However, election day, you have to be where the county is at. So if the county is going to be at American Legion, we must be at American Legion. That means that because we will have equipment there and workers there, and when I say we, I mean the city of Floresville, you will have to pay for the space that our machines, our workers are occupying in those buildings. What we anticipate is that it will be shared by 3 entities: the school district, by the city, and by the county. That is what will be shared for election day. Okay? And in answering Mr. Gonzalez, who decides where to hold voting places and stuff of that nature, legislature, in passing their election code, tells you this is where you're going to go.
Okay, any questions?
But
Mr. Johnson?
still, if we had early voting at the county still, wouldn't that save Floresville about $11,000 a year?
Yes, sir, it could. I don't know the finances, but yes, it could. I know that if you have early election at the city hall, which is something that you can do in accordance with the election code,
Which
then
is
the
basically
city,
a lot of money.
the city's going to have to be responsible for those fees.
And the county is cheaper, you know, and
Could
they're
be.
more,
And-
they do it all the time, so they're more professional.
And if we go to the county, we have to be cognizant of that we will have to share those expenses as well. But it'll be shared by the county.
It'd be not cheap.
Okay, Councilman Lehman? Yes, sir.
I think.
Please use your microphone.
I
Yes, sir.
believe you mentioned that if we're having a city election, I mean, we have to have it where the city or city secretary is there.
For early voting, yes, sir.
Okay.
That's what the election code basically states, that if you're going to do early voting, it must be at a place where your city secretary is housed, unless where she is housed is not a good location. If it's not, let's say for instance, if she was out here in a little mobile home, then that might not be a feasible or a good place. So then you could say, well, no, it can't be there.
So
But if
being
it's
that our city secretary is
going
at
to
City
be
Hall,
housed at City Hall, then you
That's
can
where it
do
has to be.
early voting,
yeah, and not,
but not election day. Any other questions, Councilman Nissen?
So when we did it all by ourselves for 2015-16, we spent $27,642. When we joined with the county, we did it for $21,883. $21,883. So we saved $6,000 by going with the county. Now, if we're going to pull early voting away, increase what we still pay the county, right? But we're gonna be taking some of that 21,000 away from the county, so chances are we're gonna be right back to the 27,000.
The anticipation would be the year that we did it ourselves before, approximately $27,000.
So we're gonna increase by splitting it up to $6,000 then, okay?
I would like to recommend, because there's no action on this, is that if we could get some figures of what it would cost to do early voting at City Hall and early voting with the county. And if the council so chooses, well, we're going to have to put it on an agenda item, because tonight is just information.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, let's put it on the agenda.
Yes.
Yes, Councilman?
Yes, ma'am. How often does legislation change, like next year? Can you start right away and hire like Rios or somebody? Because we really need to have the city election at City Hall.
Legislature is ongoing and it changes. If you'll take note of some of the documentation that I had furnished council regarding another issue, there was so many state bills that were being, Senate bills that were being introduced and stuff of that nature. So it's ongoing. Is it possible that next year it's something different? Yes, there is a possibility. And what we were anticipating, Mr. Atkins, myself, and Leon, was hopefully next year meeting together to discuss an agreement where all three entities would have input. This year it's kind of late because I think the bills have already been done and decisions had already been made on where those locations were going to be. But I'm hopeful that by next year, if we can get together by May or June, that we will be able to say, okay, maybe on election day, it will totally be at City Hall, which I've already voiced that to Ms. Ortega. That is what I believe the city council would want. But that's something that I'm hopeful that we would be able to do sometime next May to try to get to that point.
Or next November?
Yes,
For us?
yes, for November, yes.
Any other questions?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
It's a comment.
Oh, yes, sir.
Decades ago, we always had it in City Hall, always. There was no discussions, there was no disputes concerning we would be saving so much amount. There was an end. The reason why we swayed to this way to the county was a certain council thought it was a good idea to go with the November election, with the presidential and me, it's just me, I think that was the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake.
Well, the city,
And I still have the floor, thank you. And that's another story. And I will hold nothing against anybody. But that was the biggest mistake. No comments or discussions were brought up on fees, and nobody thought about that till now, when some council members want to take it this way, others that way. But I believe it should always be with no hesitation in City Hall, where that is the citizens of Floresville to go vote and not take away their rights when confusion comes in. When they go to this one, they go to that one, they go to that one. Certain individuals don't even know where it's at, and they don't. Especially the handicapped and those ramps up there are not that good. Now we have a better environment, a better place to go vote. Yes, we do save a couple of thousands of dollars. I won't dispute that. Nothing. But what I dispute is how it was done. A certain council took it upon to go to that certain election, and it was done. But now we're having disputes to take it back or keep it here or save it here or go there. But that's all I have to say, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Nixon?
Given how it was transferred over there, it wasn't a certain council, it was our election person went to a school, came back and read the law saying that we have to have election day with the county.
no, sir.
Okay, we're not gonna
It's
get
it's
into
on the agenda, but we can talk about that.
Yes.
Yes.
And so they said we had to have the election date with the county, so we decided to vote to put it with the county. We didn't come out of the clear blue sky.
Okay, what I'm recommending is that with the, and wait a minute. If a councilman wants to sponsor it, get with our city secretary, put it on the agenda for our next meeting. And with information on what it'll cost, because this council keeps saying you want to save money for the city. So let's see how much it would cost to run it at City Hall or run it at the county
Yes, ma'am.
and make an informed decision.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I still have a question.
Okay.
Okay, my question is that what Mr. Nissan said, I believe is incorrect. Because if it was correct, all the cities in the state of Texas and other states would be running their city elections in May, and they still are. We're one of the few that are not running our elections in May. And I would like to bring it back to what our charter says.
Again, I think you had your city attorney look into that.
No, I understand it, but I just felt that I needed to say that.
Okay.
Because it was changed, and it was changed not according to our charter. Our charter said, when we should have our elections.
Right. Thank you. All right, now moving on to presentation now, 3C, City Manager's Report with the City Hall update.
Yes, Mayor and Council. At your last vacation, I passed out the memo, and I apologize for being late. I've been a little busy moving some things. But I'm just trying to give you an update overview at our City Hall project that we have going on. The furniture delivery is complete. The donated chairs for the Knights of Columbus were cleaned, and all of the existing furniture that we had in our storage is in place. Staff continues to work on the details to prepare for our opening day of City Hall. Open house is scheduled for Friday, September 7th, 2018. The day that we anticipate will be tours will be available from 10 to 5. And then the ribbon cutting ceremonies and program are scheduled for 1 o'clock p.m. So we'll have some unveilings to do, some ribbon cutting, and I believe the mayor is providing clergy to dedicated to bless the City Hall. City Hall will be open for business on Monday, September 10th, 2018. That is a big collection day where we're open for business. Everybody should be in place. Invitations, we're planning on going out next week. The first City Council meeting will be held September 13th at 6 o'clock at our new City Hall. So we're going to release our hold on all projects and information coming here. It's not in my report, but FEDC is moving back as well. And so it'll free up a lot more rooms here at the event center. Most of the meetings, I believe 4A, so wants to have their meetings here at the event center. However, all of our other meetings, planning, zoning, and those meetings will be in City Hall. The mobile units will be relocated to the wastewater plants. We have 3 of them. One at the wastewater plants, treatment plants, and the other one at the city yard sometime in October, once we've entered them and have a chance to relocate them. And that is the end of my report. Do you all have any questions in reference to City Hall?
On the furniture, when you bought the furniture, you were gonna save, you had brought it down from a lot to about 25,000, no, you had saved 25,000, right?
Yeah, I don't have those in this furniture. We did have some substantial savings on the furniture. Yes, ma'am. And the Knights of Columbus, following that, I think they were at that meeting and they made a donation of some of those chairs that have been sitting in the lobby. It's pretty full. I know, Mayor, you had a chance to go by and see it. I think Councilman Councilman Easton, you had the opportunity to walk through to see some of the furniture that we're putting in place, bringing out some of the artwork and things such as that. We're hoping that it'll be a really nice City Hall opening.
Okay, any questions pertaining to City Hall? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to the next update from City Manager on the Park Phase 1 punch list.
Yes. Now, at request of Councilman Johns, he asked for an update on the Heartland punch list. I have official punch list that we discussed at the last time Sean was before you, before we signed Phase 2. This was what we had remaining on our list. There was a list from the football, a list from the baseball, Ben Reed from EDC gave a list as well. And so these are the last 3 that we had. Sean will be coming to us sometime next week, I believe on the 17th. He's trying, I need to confirm him to have another follow-up to our workshop that we had to talk about the budget design for phase 2. But however, these are the last things that I had on my written list. I know Councilman Johns and I